The purpose of this presentation is to help Detroit Mercy students become more familiar with the aspects of time management and to acquaint themselves with gainful practices. The objectives of today are to effectively explain what time management is, to integrate knowledge of time management in daily tasks, and to teach others the pros and cons associated with planning and spontaneity. Here is our guide for the module. We will cover what is time management, enemies of time management, how it can be useful, and helpful tips and practices in this module. We all may have an idea of what time management is. Poor time management can be related to procrastination as well as problems with self-control. The skills involved in managing your time include planning for the future, setting goals, prioritizing tasks, and monitoring where your time actually goes. Next, we will discuss some reasons for time management. First, you will feel calmer and more in control. You will have more energy. You will develop more qualities such as patience, persistence, self-discipline, and learning to be assertive. You will enjoy your life more and be less stressed. You will make better decisions. You will be more successful in school, at your job, and extra activities that you are a part of. You will produce higher quality work, and it helps you stay on top of your assignments for school. Also, it helps you balance school, life, and work, and gives you more free time to spend with friends and family. All of these things are good practice for your time management skills later in your career. There are two major components of time management. The first is organized. Map out everything in advance, what it is you intend to accomplish. It involves thought and planning, and put things into writing if necessary. The second is execute. Have the integrity and courage to do the very things in your plan, in spite of all the interruptions, the unforeseen elements of life that could derail you, and to make it a point to shun any excuses. Results are what counts. To execute, you can task list, task prioritize, or task schedule. Task listing is list the things you want to accomplish. Certain sizable items will involve you breaking them down into steps needed to complete the task itself. Always be sure to include the estimated amount of time you need to complete each task. Task prioritization is review your list and begin to prioritize each task. Certain items may be more time sensitive or important than others. Task scheduling is arrange your list by the actual completion deadline of each task. Work them into your schedule. Rank by priority and estimated time of completion. Create a workable plan, but be careful not to overbook yourself. Time management training most often begins with setting goals. These goals are recorded and may be broken down into a project, an action plan, or a simple task list. Activities are then rated based on urgency and importance, priorities assigned, and deadlines set. This process results in a plan with a task list or calendar of activities. 10 common time management mistakes include failing to keep a to-do list, not setting personal goals, not prioritizing, failing to manage distractions, procrastination, taking on too much, thriving on busy, multitasking, not taking breaks, and lastly, ineffectively scheduling tasks. Next, we'll go into details on how to avoid making these mistakes. First is failing to keep a to-do list. Do you ever have that feeling that you've forgotten to do an important task? If so, you probably don't use a to-do list to keep on top of things. Or, if you do, you might not be using it effectively. The trick with using a to-do list effectively lies solely in prioritizing the tasks on your list. If you have a lot of large projects on your list and do not have them organized carefully, or the entries are too vague, then your list will be ineffective. For instance, you may have written down, start on food drive proposal. But what does this entail? The lack of specifics here may cause you to procrastinate or miss key steps. So make sure that you break down large tasks and projects into specific actionable steps. That way you won't overlook something important. Second is not setting personal goals. Do you know where you'd like to be in the next 6 months? What about this time next year? Or even 10 to 15 years from now? If not, it's time to set some personal goals and get your life in order. Setting personal goals are essential to managing your time well, because goals give you a destination and vision to work toward. Knowing where you want to go will help you manage your priorities, time, and the money you need to get there. Setting personal goals will also help you decide what's worth spending your time on and what's just a distraction. Remember your SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. For example, Canvas Kitchen is doing a food drive, so let's set your SMART goals. First is specific. Write down the types of food that should be donated, such as perishable items, canned foods, or only prepackaged items. Whatever it is, be specific. Measurable. Set a measurable amount for donations to be received, and what you can actually count on coming in, and by what date. Achievable. Remember, it can be done by that date. Realistic. Keep your goals realistic. Do not set the date for 2 days away while asking for 10,000 food donations. That is unrealistic and you'll be doomed for failure. And lastly, timely. Think about what would be the best time throughout the year to do a food drive. Would once per month at the beginning or end be most efficient? Third is not prioritizing. Your supervisor has just walked in with an emergency that she needs you to handle right now. However, you are in the middle of brainstorming ideas for the food drive. You are certain that you have just come up with a brilliant idea for your marketing campaign, but now you have to handle this emergency. Prioritizing is hard sometimes, especially when you're facing a stream of seemingly urgent tasks. Nonetheless, it's critical to learn how to prioritize tasks effectively if you want to manage your time better. One tool that will help you prioritize more effectively is the Action Priority Matrix, shown here. This will help you determine if a task is urgent and important, urgent and not important, not urgent and important, or not urgent and not important. Fourth is failing to manage distractions. Did you know that many of us lose as much as 2 hours a day due to distractions? Just think about how much you could get done if you were able to get that time back. Whether they come from emails, chats, social media, colleagues in emergency, or phone calls from clients, coworkers, and friends. These distractions prevent us from finishing our tasks. If you're trying to gain control of your day and do your best work, then you must learn to manage distractions and limit interruptions. For example, turn off your chats, shut down social media, and let people know if they're distracting you too often when you need to focus. Fifth is procrastination. Procrastination happens when you put off what can be done today for tomorrow. When you procrastinate, you start feeling guilty that you haven't started what needs to be done. Then you start to dread doing that task altogether, and eventually, everything catches up with you, and you fail to complete the work on time. One useful strategy is to tell yourself that you're going to work on a project for a set amount of time until you get it done. Procrastinators tend to feel that they have to complete a task from start to finish, and this type of high expectation begins to make them feel overwhelmed and anxious. Sixth is taking on too much. Are you one of those people who have a hard time saying no to other people? If so, you probably have way too many projects and have way too many commitments on your plate. This can lead to poor work performance, stress, lack of energy, and low morale. Learn to say no. Here's an example. The food drive is coming along well, and everyone has a clear understanding of what their role is. However, you guys hit a bump in the road when one of your teammates gets ill and is unable to complete their duties. Your manager asks if you would take over those duties because you are the most experienced person on the team. You are already handling 3 of the greatest needs, plus you have 2 papers that need to be written and are due on the same day as the food drive. On top of that, you are in the process of planning your mom's birthday party. One more thing would be too much for you to handle. What do? Just say no. And mean it. Sounds easy enough, but for you it might not be as easy as others think. Here are 7 tips to help you say no without feeling guilty and help you avoid from taking on too much. First, say it. Don't beat around the bush or offer weak excuses. 2. Be assertive and courteous. 3. Understand people's tactics. 4. Set boundaries. 5. Put the question back on the person asking. 6. Be firm. And 7th, be selfish. 7th is thriving on busy. Some people get a rush from being busy. The barely met deadlines, the endless emails, the piles and piles of files needing attention on your desk, the frantic race to get to a meeting on time. The problem is that an addiction to busyness rarely means that you are effective, and it can lead to stress. Instead, try to slow down and utilize what you've learned thus far in this presentation. 8th is multitasking. Think about this for a minute. In order to stay ahead of your tasks, you regularly write emails while talking on the phone to your clients, coworkers, or friends. However, while you may think that this is a good use of your time, the truth is that it can take 20 to 40% more time to finish a list of jobs when you multitask. So, the best thing is to forget about multitasking and focus on one task at a time. That way, you'll produce higher quality work. 9th is not taking breaks. How wonderful is it to think that you can work for 8 to 10 hours straight, especially when you're working against the clock? Unfortunately, it's impossible for anyone to focus and produce really high quality work without giving their brain time to rest and recharge. So, don't look at taking a break as a waste of time, as they provide value to your time and will enable you to think creatively and work effectively. The best way to make sure you are getting the break you need is scheduling your break. Tell yourself that I will work on this project for 2 hours and then take a 15-minute break before resuming. After 2 hours have lapsed, take your break. Do not work an additional 30 minutes while telling yourself, I have to get this project finished, then I'll take my break soon. Always remember, set a scheduled break and take it at the scheduled time, or it might not happen. Lastly, 10th is ineffectively scheduling tasks. Are you a morning person, or do you pick up your energy once the sun begins to go down in the evening? Each of us has a different circadian rhythm. That is, that we all have different times of day when we feel most productive and energetic. You should try to make the best use of your time by scheduling high-value work during your peak time and low-energy work, such as returning phone calls and checking emails, during your downtime. But please be mindful that your peak time may not be similar to the people around you, and always be sure to respond in a timely manner. Some helpful tips and practices for time management include: create a daily plan. Plan your day before it unfolds. This will help you stay on task throughout your day. Peg a time limit to each task. Be clear that you need to finish X task by 10 a.m., Y task by 3 p.m., and Z item by 5:30 p.m. This prevents your work from dragging on and eating into time reserved for other activities. Use a calendar. Having a calendar is the most fundamental step to managing your daily activities. Know your deadlines. Having a clear understanding of deadlines will help you plan your work task to eventually bring a project to completion. Learn to say no. Don't take on more than you can handle. Taking on more than you can handle can lead to deadlines being missed and stressors being added to your day. Set reminders 15 minutes before. This will help you stay on time for tasks throughout the day. Some helpful tips and practices for time management include: focus. Always remember what the project objectives are and what the main goal ahead is. Prioritize. Since you can't do everything, learn to prioritize the important items and let go of the rest. Delegate. There are things that can be done by others or things that are not so important. Consider delegating. This takes a load off you, and then you can focus on the important tasks. Eliminate time wasters. What takes your time away from your work? Facebook, Twitter, email checking? Stop checking them so often. One thing you can do is make it hard to check them. Remove them from your browser quick links. Also, leave buffer time in between. Don't pack everything closely together. Leave a 5 to 10 minute buffer time in between each task. This helps you wrap up the previous task and start off on the next one. Improving your time management is one of the most effective ways to improve your quality of life, but it requires the right mindset. Too often, people focus on getting more done, but this is pointless if the extra work is of little value. A proper time management mindset is essential if you want to make lasting and valuable changes. A time management mindset focuses on the most important tasks, tasks which add real value. The value and importance of these tasks is determined by your vision for your life. These tasks allow you to make real progress towards your goals and objectives. With a time management mindset, your life is a lot less stressful. You are happier and healthier, and you achieve superior results. Don't waste time. Apply the steps you learned today and ensure that you have a powerful time management mindset.